Hey guys, welcome into week 6 Betting Pros Live NFL kick you up to quasi game kickoff for the 1 o'clock games here on Betting Pros. Andrew Erickson, Matt Perrault with you guys the next 40 minutes or so as we'll roll through all the games on the slate for Sunday. We still have the game going on right now over in London. But Andrew, how are you on this Sunday? How do you feel about a Super Bowl in London one day?
That'd be crazy. That would be absolutely crazy. But so far, it's something I'll look forward to betting on because the London games are something I've been really good at so far this year. I had the Zay Flowers first touchdown that cashed. It looks like the Ravens are going to cover here. Ryan Tannehill just went to the locker room, so Malik Willis is going to come in. And even though the Ravens are just kicking field goals, they're getting it done. So the Londoners got their money's worth getting a real football game when they wanted an American football game.
Really? Yeah, they got their version. It's been a low scoring. It's a fair over there. And again, going over there on Friday, I don't get it. Like, haven't teams learned this yet? Like, it's a 5 hour, 6 hour time difference, depending on where you're from in the country. Going over there on Friday, it's a bad idea. This is not like going to the West Coast from an East Coast team. Like, the travel in the air is not the problem. It's the body clock difference that these teams just haven't really figured it out yet. And Titans look horrific in the first half. They made some noise here in the second half, but right now it looks like the Ravens are going to get their 4th win of the season. So we'll watch that 21-13 Baltimore with 12:49 to play in the 4th quarter. All right. So let's go through some of these games. We'll start with Washington at Atlanta. This game could qualify for my Wong teaser as we get going before we get out of here. Right now, Washington does. Total's 42, Andrew, 1.5. Washington's been killed in their last 2 games. Can you back the Commanders here on the road?
Not a chance. Not against the sack machine himself, Sam Howell. I think that the Falcons dominate this game. They're at home. We know Desmond Ridder doesn't lose at home, and that matters because there's no pressure. Like, he is in a clean pocket. He's not worried about, crowd noise, anything like that. So I like backing Ridder at home. I mean, the Commanders, like, are they really this close to this Falcons team? The Falcons have a good defense. The Commanders' defense is horrible.
Yeah.
They got destroyed by Justin Fields. They've been destroyed every single week, giving up 30-plus points. So on the road, I don't envision Emmanuel Forbes, like this unit, really stopping the Falcons, who are just loaded with playmakers. And you just get a decent Desmond Ridder game, which he's shown to be able to do at home. I love backing the Falcons here.
Yeah, I don't get the number. If it was even 2.5, I might even go, okay, maybe I would consider it, and then teasing it up to 8.5. But at 7.5, even though it's over a touchdown to tease Washington up, it's still really scary. The total is down to 41.5 at certain books here in Las Vegas. I mean, the Falcons are going to run the football. Yes, the defensive line for the Commanders is good, but the secondary has been torched. And I don't know. That's a really hard thing for me to get behind and take either side of it, to be quite honest. I don't like Atlanta, but they're at home, like you mentioned. I don't care about the Ridder has never lost at home thing. I think it more to do with the opponents and who he's playing inside the division. But I understand it. I mean, it makes a lot of sense to me. The Minnesota Chicago game is the first. Is it the first game? Yeah, I think it's the first game of the year. We really have to take a look at what's going on weather-wise. I mean, it is a bad situation with wind, which is what we care about here. Wind. We don't really care about rain, but it doesn't make it fun to play in the wet. But the wind is what we're really talking about here. The number is now 3. It's been 3 for a couple of days now. 4.5 at the open, down to 3 for the Vikings without Justin Jefferson. Total now down to 44.5. I'm on the under here. I'm on 44.5 as well. Andrew, are we seeing offense at all here, or is this going to be a really boring game?
Yeah, and earlier in the week, I liked the over, but, bringing up the weather concerns is definitely a big deal, especially when you look at Soldier Field. Like, even if it's not raining, like, in the game, the field has been rained on, like, all weekend long. So, I mean, this seems like a big letdown spot for the Vikings. Like, they lost their best player on offense. They're a dome team that's going to be playing in bad conditions, and both teams are 1-4. Now, I get the Vikings statistically look better, but that's also because Justin Jefferson is on the team when it comes to those offensive metrics. I mean, this team struggled to move the ball against the Panthers, the worst team in the NFL record-wise. So I like, honestly, just taking the Bears at home with points because it's like they won last year. I think that the Bears are starting to get some momentum. They played well last week. They're coming off extra time. Whereas the Vikings, it's just like, are they going to trade Kirk Cousins? Like, they don't have their best player on offense. Like, why are we hyped up about the Vikings playing on the road in bad conditions? Like, I'm not. So I pivoted. I flip flopped. I was on the Vikings earlier in the week, and then the weather. So I'm on the Bears, and I like the under too.
Yeah, I like the under in the game. I look, it's going to be a contrast in styles in some ways because we've heard all week that 5-0, 5-0. The Bears are 5-0 over. They're going over. They go over consistent. Their defense is horrible, but the Vikings are 4-1 to the under. And they're 4-1 to the unders because they can't score. So, like, your defense could be horrible, but if your offense is equally horrible, it doesn't really matter all that much. They kind of cancel each other out, and that's where the win comes in. So, if you say, oh, it's a battle of field goals, well, it's going to be difficult to kick field goals in Chicago today. Again, you're right. Dome team going outside, but it's also the wind conditions. 15 to 20 mile per hour steady winds, and then 30 to 35 mile per hour wind gusts. So that is not a fun situation at all. I would back the Bears. So if I had to take a team aside of it, I'd back the Bears as a home dog. Kirk Cousins said this week he's not waiving his no trade clause. I don't know how that goes over in the locker room. I don't know if some guys are like, get this dude out of here, or like, good, he's saying he's our guy. The Vikings are an absolute mess. I mean, they just really are problematic. A team I am going to back today, and I took it last night. Cincinnati, now it's up to 3. We've seen some money come in here. It was 2.5 last night. It's now up to 3. Total's 45.5. Seattle off the bye. Everyone's like, look at what they've done. Andrew, they haven't played anybody. I mean, how do you feel about Seattle? I know they beat the Lions on the road, and everyone's pointing to that, but their other 3 opponents were complete cupcakes. And I really saw something last week with that offense clicking. Bye week is next week for the Bengals. They win this. They're 3-3, and they go into the bye week feeling pretty good about themselves. I like the Bengals minus 2.5. It's 3 now. How do you feel about this game?
I like the over in this game. I think that there were some weather conditions earlier in the week, but it's not really that. It's just typical Seattle weather, basically. Like there's going to be some type of rain. There's always some type of rain there, but not really any wind. So I think that the Bengals here cook offensively. I like Seattle's offense. You know, they're getting healthy. They're getting Charles Cross back. They're coming off their bye week. So I expect their offense to execute. So I think that it should be a close game. Ultimately, I decide on the Bengals as well, but I actually like the over. I like, when the overs are in that 42, 43, 44 range, I usually like taking a side or on the total. Just because usually it's like, it's at 48, 49. Okay, this is going to be a high scoring game, or else it's like down in the dumps in like the 39, 40 range. So I like the over in this spot, but I would pick the Bengals as well.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what the weather's going to be like because the 2 big weather games, Chicago being one and then Cleveland being the other. This is obviously in Ohio. So, like, where does that weather line get drawn and how? I mean, supposedly this is not going to be a weather game, but you're right. I mean, to take a look at it, if the weather does, if you turn it on, you start watching it and the wind's howling and it kicks up badly, maybe you play a live under in this game if you want to jump in on it. But this game, as of right now, the weather is not supposed to be as big of an impact as is going to be in Cleveland, or it's going to be in Chicago. And speaking of Cleveland, here in San Francisco, I am on the under 36.5. This number has moved to 36 now from 41.5 at the open. It went from 3 to 9.5. It's now up to 10 at Caesars because, well, Cleveland's not going to score, Andrew. I mean, this Niners defense is so darn good. You're talking about PJ Walker, who's a guy who's bounced around. I mean, he's a professional quarterback. I don't know about if DTR really is yet in the NFL, so they're going with Walker. But what do you make of this offense for Cleveland? Can they score at all?
I think their defense probably has a better chance of scoring, honestly. Like, that's what the Browns need. The Browns need just this game to be super gross, like what we saw last year when the Bears beat the 49ers. Like, that happened last year because they were playing in horrible weather elements. They're just totally throwing off. There's no timing with the 49ers offense because we know the Browns have good defensive players, and they know that they have to make plays because they don't have their starting quarterback on the other side of the ball. So, look, and we know Dre Greenlaw is also out for the 49ers, so that is a big loss. Maybe they try to run the football. I'm not confident. I think that the Jerome Ford under rushing is a really good prop to bet on just because he hasn't done nothing the last 2 weeks. And why would he be able to run more on the number 1 run defense? I don't know. So, yeah, this game is looking like ugly, and I think that the under is probably the move, even that it's a suppressed the total.
In Cleveland, I've done this a bunch. Like, when it's windy in Cleveland, it's a wind stadium. It impacts the game more just because wherever the stadium's located, however the way they built it, when the wind goes in there, it just howls around. It just creates all sorts of problems for the kicking game and the passing game. And I like Christian McCaffrey over 18.5 rushing attempts. I think they're just going to give the football to run CMC and try to get this ground game, get in there, win this game 17-3 and get the hell out of there and get a W. How do you feel about McCaffrey getting a lot of touches today?
Makes sense. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense to have Brock Purdy drop back to throw when you have Myles Garrett, pinning his ears back trying to get after the ball. Like, don't put your quarterback in a position to fail. And Kyle Shanahan's been pretty good about that. So,
Yeah.
paid CMC, this is a good game to run him in.
And he's been pretty much 18, 19, 20, 21 attempts all season. So it's right in that range. So you need to use him just a little bit more than what they have in the past in the running game. So obviously injuries come into play here when you're talking about Cleveland and their defense. But I think as long as he's staying healthy, I think he'll get the rock a lot today. And if the weather really is a problem and kicking up, they're going to run the ball even more. So I'd like McCaffrey to get his touches today with running, getting over 18 and a half rushing attempts. New Orleans is at Houston. Andrew, this line, I don't understand this. Maybe I'm higher on the Texans than most, but this number opened at 1. It's now 2.5. I've teased this up to 8. You can get 8.5 on this. Are the Saints going to go into Houston and just run them out of the building?
No, the Saints are going to go into Houston and lose.
Right.
That's what's going to happen. Like that's what's going to happen. So I'm all on the Texans. Texans money line. CJ Stroud over is like, it's all plus money, and I can't get enough of it, honestly. Like, this is what I feel the most confident about this week. Just the Saints, look, yeah, they beat the Patriots. Fair job. Everyone beat the Patriots. The Saints are overrated. They've had the cupcake schedule all year long. And the Texans, like you said, like, they're underrated. CJ Stroud is legit. And the best thing about their team that not being talked about enough, their offensive line is healthy. Last week, CJ Stroud was the least pressure quarterback. When he works from a clean pocket, he shreds. So I don't care how good the secondary for the Saints is. Like, he's got receivers, he's got weapons, he's going to have time to rip them apart. So I love the Texans.
And that's another prop that I like, as I like Dameon Pierce to go over his rushing attempts today for that very reason, because I don't think that they really want to test it all that often. It's only 15.5 at DraftKings. And this is pretty much, he's getting the ball 16, 17, 18 times a game right now. And he's been tremendous in this, running the football, setting up play action, finding, Collins and finding Tank Dell down the field. This has been an offense that has been way better than I thought it was going to be. And look, we thought their defense might improve. The Saints offense is bad. Like, it's just not good. The one thing the Patriots kind of did was slow down the Saints. And I was like, this offense doesn't have any real punch to it. Yeah, I like the Texans today. I'm with you. Dameon Pierce over 15.5 rushing attempts. And I like you can take the money line, Houston. I just teased it up to 8. We'll pair it with somebody else. I'll tell you the other side here in a second, but I like Texans too. Staying in the division in the South, Indianapolis is at Jacksonville. This number has been pretty much cemented at 4 or 4.5 the entire week. The total at 44. It's gone down just here a little bit. Interesting stat, Andrew, is that teams that have played in London who have come back, I think it's the last 11 teams that played a game without a bye week have been trailing in the fourth quarter at some point after coming back from London. Now, they didn't lose the game. Not all of them lost the game, but it's been close. Doesn't this feel like a field goal game, that taking the 4 points, even if they lose, that the Colts may cover?
Yeah, I mean, the Colts are kind of that, especially with Minshew leading the revenge game. Like, I feel like they're going to keep this close. So even if it's like a backdoor cover, I don't feel good about backing Jacksonville with, the 4 points. So for me, it's actually the under. Just get 2 divisional teams playing each other for the second time. We typically see these games go under because the teams know each other a little bit better. These teams played it in week 1. So we already have a rematch between the two teams. So I think what did you say, it was 44.5. I like the under at that number. And if I had to pick a side, it would be Jacksonville, but no, I don't feel great about it. I actually like this game a lot from the props side of things. Like, I like Josh Downs over, Michael Pittman Jr. over. Minshew throws to those guys.
He does.
That's all he throws to. It's a very concentrated target share between those two players. So I like the over on those because I just don't think that the Jags secondary is really that good. So that's what I would approach this game with, and then just overall in the under.
This is definitely a live betting opportunity, I think. You just watch and see if both offenses are stagnant in the first couple of the drives. The total may drop down, but it won't go too much farther, maybe 41, 42. And I think it's probably a good idea. You could jump on a live under in that game, just because if the offenses aren't clicking today, it may be an under game. One game in which at least the books or the pros think that this game's going to be clicking offensively, at least for one side with Miami. And the total is 14 now. It was 14.5 at one point, opened up at 10.5. Carolina on the road, total is 47.5. Any shot for the Panthers to shock the world today?
I think this game goes over. Whether it's because Miami scores 50 points or because Carolina shows some life. I think that they're going to try to score. They all week it's been Bryce Young sucks. Bryce Young can't do this. Bryce Young can't do that. One last week he threw 3 touchdowns. Like, I get some came in garbage time, but that's matters because they're not going to stop trying to score points, even if
Yeah.
they're getting blown out of the game. So whether it's a backdoor, like I would feel bad about backing Miami 2 touchdowns because I feel like there's going to be a backdoor recovery here from Carolina because they're not going to stop trying to score points. They need to justify this pick, so they need to boost up Bryce Young's numbers as best as they can. So especially when you look at the props for the Carolina players, they're so low across the board when this team is going to run so many plays. They can get there just based on volume. So maybe it's contrarian, but I do like the over in this game overall. And I think that you're going to get a lot of these players like Jonathan Mingo's at like 30 receiving yards, Adam Thielen's at like 50, like just really suppressed because, they're not going to score. Well, the total says someone's going to score in this game. So I like the over.
There was a question just popped in about over Brock Purdy 200 passing yards from your boy Royo. No, look, wind. I don't think they're going to want to play around with this. Why even risk it? It's a lot of dink and dunk, and there could be some yak that gets it there. That's possible, but the Browns defense on paper has been really, really good this year. So I'd be very careful about overs for the Niners, over for the Browns. Like, this does not feel like an offensive game to me, at least, is why I bet the under. But do you like Purdy over 200 yards passing?
No, because it's like it has to be like a Deebo Samuel rips off like an 80-yard touchdown because he catches the ball. Like they can play ball control. They know that the Browns are not going to be pushing them to score points. So why do they need to push the narrative trying to attack the ball down? Like, you're not going to see like these long drop back throws to Brandon Ayuk with bad weather because that's more likely to be a turnover. And like that's going to make the 49ers more likely to lose. Like, they're just going to run the football. So yeah, I would stay away from the Purdy over props. If anything, you bet the under on him.
Fair. Raheem Mostert, anytime touchdown. That takes us to this game we're talking about right now. I like Mostert, but I like his rushing yards to go over 77.5 here because we're not going to deal with A-Chain, who's out for at least 4 weeks, maybe longer, depending on what the injury looks like for the knee situation. It's going to be all Mostert in my mind. And I know the Panthers defense is okay, but anytime touchdown Mostert, I like. Over rushing yards. How do you feel about the running game for the Dolphins today?
I mean, it's just a matter of like how the Dolphins decide to score. Like that's really what it is. It's like someone's going to put points, and again, no A-Chain. You have Mostert. He's their starting running back, so I think that he's in a good spot. I mean, from like a massive game, if you want to do some alternate receiving yards, I like Jalen Waddle a lot. I think that when you look at A-Chain is out, he was their explosive playmaker. So now where do those plays go to? I think you see more from Jalen Waddle this week. He had 10 targets last week, really involved around the red zone. So I think Waddle's going to have a massive game.
And Mostert could pop one too. So that's why I think
there'll be plenty to go around.
Yeah. So he may have a 40 or 50 yard run at one point to get free and get loose. That's why I think he goes over 77. I mean, this number was 44, it opened at 45.5 right until the HN news came out. So you got on this thing early. This number was super depressed because they thought it was going to be HN in there. And then he got ruled out. And then this number spiked, obviously, to 77.5, where it is right now. I still like it though. Detroit is at Tampa, 3-point favorites. Detroit's, I can tell you right now, Andrew, this is a pro better special. They are all over the Bucs here, catching 3 points at home against the Lions. The public in love with the biting of the kneecaps of the Lions. Total is 43. Do the Lions go to Tampa and win?
Yes. Yes, they do. I'm on the public side here with the Lions. Look, the Lions have been a team that's been profitable to bet with. Best team against the spread since the beginning of or the middle of last year. They show up versus expectations. And look, I get that Baker Mayfield has played really well, but it's everything that's not sustainable. Oh, he doesn't turn the ball over. Oh, he's great on third downs. Like, great from under pressure. Like, all those things are going to regress. Like, he can't continue to play at the level that he's been playing, especially based on how good the Lions defense is. Like, this isn't the same, bad Lions defense that we're accustomed to them trotting out. And yeah, I get Jared Goff doesn't play as well on the road as he plays at home, but he's not playing on the road in 30-degree weather. Like, he's playing Tampa Bay, 77 degrees and sunny. Like, he's going to be fine. So I think that the Lions actually aren't getting enough respect. Honestly, I think it should be a larger spread. So I'm going to back Detroit.
I'm way off this game. I want nothing to do with this game. I have no clue what to make of this game. I'm not standing in front of the Lions and saying, no, they can't win this game. I bet the under for the win total on the Bucs. So clearly I'm not seeing Tampa correctly because that's going to go over. So they're going to win 7-8 games this year, most likely. So if they stay healthy. So I'm staying away. In my backyard here in Las Vegas, your team in your backyard, the Patriots, coming out here out west. This is the first time, Andrew, that I am not going. Patriots, every time the Patriots come here, I get offered tickets. I say yes every single time. I was offered tickets. This time, said no. said, no, thanks. I don't need to go watch this. I don't need to go be in person. And after what happened last year and the Chandler Jones touchdown and throwing the football, the whole nonsense that happened at the end of that game, I have no desire to relive that moment. And I have no desire to watch this football team in person and watch Mac Jones completely and totally struggle. Jimmy Garoppolo revenge game. I haven't bet it. Garoppolo to throw a pick. How do you feel about Garoppolo not playing all that well today against this Patriots defense?
I mean, if anyone knows about Garoppolo's strengths and weaknesses, you assume it's Bill Belichick. And I mean, it seems like he's always good for an interception anyway. So I do like that. Yeah, from a sides, I just take the under because the Patriots, all their games go under, shockingly. So I would just bet the under. I like the Ramondre Stevenson props because that's the only way the Patriots can move the football is if they run the ball. So Ramondre's been over 12 carries in every single game except for last week, but he was on the injury report, and that game got way out of hand. I don't think they're going to lose by 30 points. Cross my fingers. But
do they score more than 3 points?
Like it's
3 points in 2 weeks. The line's 3. Like the Raiders aren't great. This is the revenge game of revenge games, and this is why I like Jacoby Myers anytime touchdown. Yeah. I think he gets one here against this Patriots secondary because they're so banged up right now. I mean, it just, they had a really good defense. And then they lose Gonzalez. They lose Judon. They don't have a pass rush anymore, really. They don't have a secondary really anymore. I think anytime touchdown for Myers. And then I think if I was going to bet it, I can't believe the Raiders are 3-point favorites. Like, again, you want to talk about the pros, where the pros are? They are all over. They're all over the Patriots here today at +3. Can they cover?
See, like, I can't touch this game because I'm just it's too painful for me. But I feel like that's what's going to probably end up happening. It's just like when everyone writes them off and they're dead is when they cover and they win. Like that's what's going to happen. And then they play the Bills next week and then they're going to lose by 30 points again. So they'll be right back on track. So like they're not going to have many opportunities to win games this year. So this might be one of those spots. But I'm just touching the Ramondre overs. Like that's what I have confidence in, not on the Patriots.
Jacoby Myers, anytime touchdown with over 25 alt receiving yards. Josh Jacobs, anytime touchdown with over 50 alt rushing yards. Parlay pays +800 at William Hill. Abel, I don't know how much you know of the juice, the daily juice with me, but I can't stand these types of plays because you're making it so tough on yourself to win a bet. It is really hard to win anyway. This 8-1 looks great. Okay. I get that. It's an awesome return. It's, you put down, $10, you're coming back with 80. It's phenomenal. It's really hard, man, to parlay 4 legs like that. I mean, one of those legs are bound to miss. Like you're going to get Josh Jacobs not to score a touchdown, or you can get Josh Jacobs gets hurt on the first series, or something bad always happens. I never like putting 4-leg parlays. 2-leg parlays and teasers, I don't mind. I don't know, Andrew, can that hit?
I would probably just roll with one of the touchdowns because the Patriots have been better in the red zone. So I don't bank on 2 different guys scoring for the Raiders touchdowns. So again, you like Jacoby Myers. So I would roll with the Jacoby Myers one, take the Josh Jacobs one out, but you can keep his rushing yards in there.
The reason why I like Myers also, not just the revenge factor, the Patriots are going to take away Devontae Adams as much as they possibly can. Like they know they can't guard him one-on-one. There's no one who can handle it. They're going to bracket him the entire game. And really when teams have done that, like when the Packers did that, that's when Myers went off and had a really big game for the Raiders. I expect a very similar situation. Like they've got 2 good weapons, 2 receivers, and Bill's going to say, I'm not watching, Devontae Adams run around for 200 yards and 15 catches against me. So we're taking him out. That leaves Myers open. So Myers anytime touchdown. You can get it at +210 at FanDuel. It's a big price. DraftKings is 155. FanDuel is +210. So you can get a much better price on Jacoby Myers anytime touchdown here today against his former club and the Patriots. Okay. The other side of my personal teaser, I'm taking the Rams from 7 down to 1. Total is 48 now. It's ticking up here against the Arizona Cardinals. This is my Survivor pick of the week, Andrew. I have rules with Survivor, one of which is you don't take divisional games except in 2 situations. Niners at the Cardinals, Rams against the Cardinals. We haven't heard yet, I don't know if you have yet, about the wife for Sean McVay, who may be going into labor. I think he's going to coach the team. I think he's going to be okay. We haven't seen it. And if he's on the sidelines, I like this even more. Where are you on the Rams today?
Yeah, I like the Rams. I think Arizona, it was a nice Cinderella story to start the year, but again, they're going to be a team that was eventually going to kind of come back to just being a standard team, still not great on defense, and the Rams offense is overdue for passing touchdowns. Like Matthew
Yeah.
Stafford's got to throw some passing touchdowns eventually. So with Cooper Kupp back, with Puka Nacua, I don't think the Cardinals just have their answers on defense to stop this offense. So yeah, I like the Rams with 7.
Yeah, we saw it last week with 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7. The Cooper Kupp slant is still unbeatable. Like it's just you can't guard it. I mean, I know the Eagles defense is not phenomenal in the secondary, but I mean the Cardinals aren't either. Unbelievable timing. Just he has his binky back, and that's going to make Puka, I think, even better. Having a second week now with having a guy on the opposite side where teams can't focus on him as much. So yeah, wouldn't shock me if the Rams win the game big today. Philly at the New York Jets. Number has been ticking around 6.5 to 7. Some books are at 7. Some books are 6.5. Total is 42.5. Can Zach Wilson shock the world and beat the Eagles today?
No, I no, especially when you look at the other side of the ball. The Jets are without Sauce Gardner's not playing in this game.
Yeah.
Like that is they could barely match up with Devonta Smith, AJ Brown as it was. And now you're out your two stop cornerbacks and they can't stop the run. Like the Eagles are just going to put up too many points on offense. Like it's really the Jets defense is the big problem here. And I know that Jalen Carter's not playing, but neither is Elijah Vera Tucker, who's a starting guard for the Jets. So a lot of people are looking at the Jalen Carter things like, oh, well, now they can move the ball. It's like, yeah, well, you're also down one of your starting offensive linemen. So I think it's really more of a net loss from both teams. And I don't think that's being accounted for because I was seeing like the line like getting closer. I was like, why are not more people on the Eagles right here? It's like the Jets they don't have their best players. So yeah, Eagles for me.
You would lay it 6.5 or 7?
6.5, yeah.
Okay, it's 24-13, by the way. Ravens now have extended their lead over the Titans. So looking like they're going to cover that 5 over there. I want to see the team total for the Eagles tonight because 42.5. Eagles team total is 24.5.
Oh, that's an easy. You got to take the over on that, man.
I don't mind that.
Yeah, I just don't see how they slow down. Like they can run the ball, they can throw the ball. And the tush push is unstoppable. So
yeah, I'm with you. I like that too. That might be one of those like wow situations for that. So yeah, I mean team total Eagles over 24.5. And then finally on Sunday Night Football, I have no idea why we have to watch this. I won't be watching this. Giants are at the Bills. The number is 15.5. Total is 44. Convince me, why am I watching this game? Tell me why.
You have Saquon Barkley on your fantasy team, and you hope he gets garbage. You hope he gets garbage points. Nobody plays.
You're right. Yeah. Is he going to play? I mean, is he going to play? Is he even going to why play him? What's the point?
No, that is a good point. It's like why play him? Like it's like if they're getting blown out like by 21 points, just take him out of the game anyway. So it's just like the Bills' run defense is so bad, and they don't have Matt Milano. They don't have one of their star defensive linemen. So it's like the Giants have to run the football. Like that's their only chance of winning. But they're also down like half their offensive line. So does it really even matter? So, yeah, it seems like a horrible spot, especially. But the thing with the Bills is they just kill bad teams, too. Like, all their victories this year have been by, like, 20-plus points. So, especially after they lost to London, I bet the Bills score over 29.5 points. And I think that might just be the end of my bets with the Bills. And just they're going to score 30. Don't really care what the Giants do. They're not going to be able to stop them.
Really, yeah. Team total Bills might be the only play in that game. It's a fair point. All right, so again, just to recap my picks, my personal teaser is Texans, Rams, Texans +8, Rams -1. I like the Bengals -2.5, under in the Bears, Vikings at 44.5, under in San Francisco and the Broncos at 36.5. Anything that we didn't get to, Andrew, that you liked side-wise and total-wise?
Nope. No, that was everything. Okay. Again, Panthers, Dolphins is the one I really like the over on. We'll see.
And then my props, Jacoby Myers, anytime touchdown at +210. Raheem Mostert over 77.5 yards rushing at -110. Christian McCaffrey over 18.5 rushing attempts. And Dameon Pierce over 15.5 rushing attempts for me. Any other props you like today that we didn't get to?
In the Falcons-Commanders game, Logan Thomas, tight end for the Commanders. I mean, his prop is like 36.5 receiving yards. Falcons are one of the worst teams against defending tight ends, and Logan Thomas has gone over that number, over 40 receiving yards in all of his healthy games. Like, he got knocked out of one game because of concussion. That's the only game he hasn't hit the over in. So that's the prop I've been betting probably the most, and it's 1 o'clock, and I think that's a great matchup in the Dome. Logan Thomas. I feel good about backing guys with LT as their initials, so Logan Thomas for me, over.
All right, so I'm going to give you some options here. and you tell me what options you like the best. We got to figure out, is there a Wong teaser? We can talk it out for the guys here. Remember, we're talking under 49. We want to going over the key numbers of 3 or 7, either over or under. We're trying to cross through those numbers. The Commanders at plus 7.5. I believe, I don't know how you feel in this. Technically, 2.5 is a Wong. I think 3, you're trying to get off of 3. So I consider -3 a Wong teaser, even though some people don't. I think it still qualifies because if it's 2.5, we're trying to get over 3 and over 7. It still gets us over there with 3. So 2.5, 7.5 for the Commanders. Chicago at plus 9. Seahawks at plus 9. And let's see, Houston plus 8. I'm already on that, although. And then is that it? Oh, no, Tampa. Yeah, that's it for the early slate. Okay, so there's your early slate. Washington 7.5, Chicago plus 9, Seattle plus 9, and then in Texans plus 8. Which legs of the 4?
The only one I'm worried about is the Washington one.
So let's cross off the Commanders.
Yeah.
So Commanders gone. And then, because I'm with you, because I thought about it last night. I thought about doing Chicago and Washington, and I was like, man, that Commanders leg just scares the holy heck out of me. Because 7.5, they can lose by 8. They can lose by 10. That's not that crazy given how bad. And they're on the road. I'm with you. So we're crossing them out. Okay, so the Bears, I like the Bears at plus 9.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
I like
so
that.
There's one. Seattle or the Texans?
Texans.
Yeah, I may need.
I just hate the Saints. Like I have no. I think Derek Carr is so bad. I think they're so overrated because they beat the Patriots last week by what they did, and I feel like Derek Carr didn't really play that well. It's just like, okay, well, give him so many opportunities, he's eventually going to convert. So I love back in the Texans. So especially at home too.
Yeah, it's tough because I'm on the Bengals. So if I take Seattle, I'm trying to middle that game, and that scares the hell out of me because they're on the road. And I mean, at some point, and it happened kind of last week where the Bengals just erupted. I know Seattle's coming off the bye, and everyone's like banking on that. But what if Seattle's overrated? And like, here comes the Bengals waking up, and they're ferocious at home, and they win the game like 27-10. And then you're teasing the Saints up, or teasing Seattle up, and you're like, oh, I should have just gone ahead and left it alone. So, all right. Wong teaser. Man, I got 2 units riding on these Texans now. Oh, boy. Let's
go.
Got 2 units on the Texans. All right. Texans, Bears. There is your Wong teaser. Plus 8 Texans, plus 9 Bears. At least they're both at home. So that's good. Yes. So they're both at home, over a touchdown. Both qualify. We're going Texans and the Bears coming up here for that. All right, Andrew, great stuff. Anything else you want to add before we run?
No. Let's go. Houston Texans, baby. Let's ride them.
All right, if you guys have not downloaded the BettingPros app, please do so today. It is free, it is easy, and it's really, really fun to use. All sorts of cool things you guys can get on there. Performances across sports, bet types. You can sync and track your bets as well. You can follow users and tail their bets, not just people from BettingPros, but just people who are using the app when they're hot. You can see how your instincts are stacking up against others. You can download the BettingPros app in the Apple Store and the Google Play Store right now for free. Check it out. It's where I get a lot of my props because the prop bet cheat sheet is really, really good. It's great for the NBA, which is about to kick back up again. So if you haven't looked at it, check it out. Download the BettingPros app in the App Store or Google Play Store today. Andrew, great stuff. Appreciate your time. Best of luck on all your bets today. Andrew Erickson, Matt Perrault. We're back next week for week 7 for the BettingPros live stream here on the BettingPros YouTube channel.